Slenderman began as a piece of internet folklore, a tall, faceless figure lurking at the edges of photographs, a modern myth crafted in the early days of creepypasta culture. He spread quickly, becoming a symbol of digital age horror, a blank canvas for fear, imagination, and the strange, collaborative storytelling that thrives online. But Slenderman's story isn't just about a fictional monster. In 2014, his name became tied to a real-world tragedy when two young girls in Wisconsin committed a violent attack they believed was connected to him. It was a moment that forced the world to confront how online myths can be misunderstood, distorted, or taken far beyond their intended space. Slenderman exists at the crossroads of creativity and caution, a reminder of how powerful stories can become once they leave the screen and take root in the human mind.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Spooky and Kooky. This is episode 39 and I'm Ellen.
I'm Alice, and as always, if you're into anything spooky, kooky, horror, paranormal, conspiracy, even a bit of true crime, then this is the pod for you. And today's episode is centered around Slenderman, something that hits quite a few of those niches really.
Yeah, and I think especially if you're a millennial, I feel like Slenderman is peak millennial.
I mean, I thought he was part of the Avengers. I mean, cast our minds back to episode 2.
Yeah, Slenderman vibes.
And I used to think Slenderman was part of the Avengers, and then I realised it wasn't. And then
what is his power?
Being slender.
I'm just here because I'm so skinny.
No, I just thought you could like squeeze through. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's so funny.
Yeah, so it's peak millennial that I missed out on.
You were not part of.
I was not part of it.
But when the game and everything surfaced, it was, I'm sure, around like our secondary school years.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was, yeah. And I feel like maybe it was one of the first like modern folklore things to come about. Like the first real internet sensation of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Was Slenderman.
I'm up to speed on it now, and it is creepy.
Although I did think its origins were completely different to what its origins actually are. So
I thought he was a creepypasta story, but Ellen's going to go through the origins. But just before we get onto that, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who does subscribe or like our videos, and we've got quite a few nice comments recently.
Yeah.
And it's just been really nice, so thank you for coming on this journey with us, because me and Ellen had a little wholesome moment the other day when I was... we've got a new series, a mini-series, that we're doing called Cryptid Coffee Breaks. It's probably already finished by the time this episode will air.
Yeah.
But I've been putting that off since January, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm so lucky to be doing this with my best friend, but also someone like Ellen who doesn't get on at me for being flaky, and we just enjoy doing this. So to actually, however many of you there are that do watch our videos and get any kind of enjoyment out of them, it just makes it even better, really.
Yeah, it does mean a lot.
Yeah.
To go on this journey with us, because it's been a wild ride, but a good one.
Yeah, and our videos are so unpolished and unfiltered, so if you get through them, I commend you.
Because I don't know if you know, but we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We hide it well.
If you didn't know, now you know. But yeah, just thank you for any kind of nice comments or commenting on the cases as well, because especially the Sodder family case that we covered, the comments taught me some stuff that I had missed out during my research, or they brought in different theories that I hadn't thought of, and I love that.
That's what I love, and that's really why we started this, was to find people who also... This isn't stuff that we really talk about with people in our day-to-day, which makes me sad. I want to be able to debate this with other people, the stuff that we talk about, and hear what other people have to say and what their views are and what else they know. So
it's given us an outlet.
Yeah, and I love hearing from you guys. It makes my day.
And just the researching and making the scripts, and then it's just a good project. Like, we just have fun doing it. So to then get nice comments or comments talking about what we wanted at the start, even though we're a small channel, we're just happy to be here. And
just
honestly, like, if it wasn't fun, we would have quit a long time ago.
And like we say, we love to learn. Not that we actually we learn nothing.
Love to learn. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to people, because we had that little wholesome moment the other day of just being like, oh, it's actually like we've
just done it.
Completed doing this. We said about it, and then we followed it through for once. Like,
and we're still doing it. It wasn't a fixation for like 2 months, and then we never did it again.
And we just work quite well together, where if I don't get stuff done on time, you don't.
It's fine. And it's nice just having like our conversations to look back on.
Yeah.
And be like, that was so funny.
And
we were so funny that day. No.
So, thank you for coming on this journey. And if you're not liked and subscribed, now you know it makes our day. So, like and subscribe.
You can't not do it now, because you'll feel bad.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get into Slenderman.
Yes, let's do that. The figure known as Slenderman is one of the most recognisable examples of modern internet folklore. Unlike traditional legends that evolve over centuries, Slenderman emerged instantly, created by a single individual and rapidly expanded through online collaboration. Slenderman originated on the 10th of June 2009 on the Something Awful forums, a long-running online community known for comedy and creative challenges.
We would have been 13 then.
Yeah,
roundabouts.
so it was
it would
peak
have been
time.
Yeah, I just missed it somehow. Damn.
I don't know where you were.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was terrifying, so it's probably the best. At the time, users were participating in the thread titled Creative Paranormal Images. The goal was simple: produce scary, manipulated photographs that looked convincingly supernatural. A user named Eric Knudsen, posting under the pseudonym Victor Surge, submitted 2 black and white images. Each showed groups of children, and in the background of each photograph, he inserted a tall, faceless, elongated figure in a dark suit. What distinguished Surge's entries from others was not just the imagery, but the accompanying text. He added short, fabricated captions, purported eyewitness accounts, and archival notes. These captions referenced disappearances, fires, and a mysterious entity known only as the Slenderman, which, when I think about it now, is quite a choice for a name. It's not really that scary. It's scary now because we associate it with it, but the Slenderman.
And it does sound like a superhero.
The Slender Man and the Meek Woman.
But I would quite like to see the other entries to that contest.
Yeah, actually, I didn't look at what the other entries were.
No, I've never seen them. I would just... Because his video... his image was, quite well done, like photoshopped and everything. So I'd quite like to see the other entries.
If we find any, we'll put them here. They will be here. Yeah, within days, other forum users began adding their own interpretations. They created new images, invented backstories, and proposed behavioural traits. Slenderman quickly became a collaborative project rather than a single author's creation.
I love that. That's literally like internet.
It's what you want, right? Yeah.
What we're going to go into, it's obviously
not what you want,
but just people coming together and just making this whole lore of one picture. That is pretty sick.
It's great. Key characteristics emerged during this phase: extreme height and thinness, lack of facial features, tentacle-like appendages, association with forests and abandoned locations, connection to child disappearances, and the ability to influence or distort perception. None of these traits were fixed at the beginning. They evolved through community consensus. And the next major development came with the launch of the YouTube series Marble Hornets in June 2009, only weeks after Slenderman's creation. The series presented itself as a found footage project, documenting a student film gone wrong. with the Slender Man renamed the Operator,
Ooh.
appearing as a reoccurring antagonist. Marble Hornets played a crucial role in transforming Slenderman from a static image into a dynamic narrative figure, and introduced video sightings, distortion effects, psychological influence, and a long-form storyline.
I might have a look to see what those videos are about, then put any good clips up here.
By the early 2010s, Slenderman had become a fully developed piece of digital folklore and appeared in fan fiction, web series, video games, which we'll go into, art, cosplay, and online communities. Slenderman's widespread popularity eventually led to real-world consequences, which you will go into, including a widely reported 2014 stabbing incident in Wisconsin. It also marked a turning point in public perception. What began as a creative exercise became, in some circles, a misunderstood symbol of danger, despite its clearly documented fictional origins.
We'll just talk about the Slenderman game.
Yeah, so you never played it, did you?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, well, obviously you didn't know. And it was so scary. I remember playing it with my friends. Well, I physically could not play it. Even just watching would make me scream. I actually can't remember how the game starts. All I remember is you're walking through a woods with a flashlight and you're trying to find your way out of the woods. And the flashlight flickers throughout the whole thing. And then when the Slenderman gets close, it causes the screen to go static, and the closer he gets, the more static there is, and then he's just like there, and then
so the game is to run away.
The game is to get away from him. Yeah, it's so scary. I hate games like that, to be fair. Like, I can't play Resident Evil, anything like that where I'm being chased, I will scream.
Ellen's gonna show me a clip and then we'll just give our reaction when we'll watch it off camera, because again, we're not polished and we don't know how to put picture in picture. I actually googled it and I still don't know how to do it. I literally googled how to do it and was like, huh? I don't know what to do. But so we'll
you guys
cut the camera. Yeah,
you know what we're like.
We'll cut the camera, play the clip, and then we'll react to it. That's actually horrible. The fact that everything looks like him as well.
Literally, and you're like, and you can only see a tiny amount, and you're like, ah!
Oh no, if I played that as a teen, that would shit me up. Shit really
up now.
Oh god. Yeah, I probably wouldn't even play it now, to be fair.
It's going to take me some time to come down from that.
Right, so, bring the tone down now. Now we've gone through who Slenderman is. Imagine being 12 years old and believing you needed to end the life of your friend to prove the Slenderman legend is real, and by doing this you would have been invited to live with him in his Slender mansion. This is unfortunately a true story. In May 2014 in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, obviously from the UK, two girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weier, lured their friend Payton Leutner into the woods and stabbed her 19 times in a violent attack.
And
they were all 12.
That is crazy.
So it was a real shocking crime because of the girls' ages and because of the Slenderman element. So I'm just going to run through the crime. Obviously, this case caught headlines.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
One of the girls recently made headlines again as well on November 22nd, 2025, when a 23-year-old Morgan Geyser went AWOL from her supervised group home.
Oh, God.
So she cut off her ankle bracelet and fled. She was still located in Wisconsin, where the group home is, but she actually went to over 160 miles away, where she was found in Illinois. When the police confronted her, she allegedly said to officers when asked who she was, "Just Google me." So when asked to confirm her identity to police, she said, "Just Google me."
That's not cool.
No, you don't get clout here. I'm
No.
sorry, Morgan. No. But the police found her and she is now back in her group home. So we'll start by going over who the victim is, Payton Leutner. Payton, around the time of the crime, was known by Bella by her friends, and I couldn't really find anything recently to say she prefers to go by Payton or Bella. So I'm going to refer to her as Payton. But when I later show clips of the girls' interrogations, if they refer to her as Bella, it comes from her middle name, Isabella.
Okay.
Payton was known by everyone who describes her pretty much as just a really kind child. She just seemed like a really well-rounded girl. She maybe wasn't the loudest and most outgoing child, but she was one of those people who really wanted to make other people feel included. So if anyone ever was being left out, she made an effort to be friends with them, and this could mean she could be forgiving of some problematic behaviour.
Yeah.
But she just seemed like a really nice girl. She liked to draw and read, and she liked to play outside. A typical 12-year-old, and she was described at school as a good student. And like I said, she wasn't really the most outgoing, but she was very kind and very well approachable. Like, she was well liked by other kids. Payton grew up in Waukesha. I'm going to say that's so wrong. I know that's not how you say it, but my mouth can't form the sounds to say it how... Yeah,
Don't know.
Waukesha. Waukesha. I think that's how you say I think that's how you say it in the American accent. Waukesha. Waukesha, Wisconsin. That's so bad. Okay. So she grew up in Waukesha in a close, supportive family. Her parents have spoken about her gentle nature and how Payton cared deeply for others. She was an only child, and her family environment was stable, warm, and nurturing. And unfortunately, we're talking about her today because she was the victim of this horrific crime. However, it's important to remember that Payton did not let this event shape her life, and we'll go into that more later. Payton had a friend, Morgan Geyser, since early elementary school. They were close for several years, and for their age they had a really typical friendship. They would hang out together at school, they would spend time together outside of school, and you know that friend you kind of just stick with because you've been friends with them and you grow up with them.
Yeah.
They were like that. Morgan Geyser also grew up in Waukesha. In a stable middle-class household, she lived with both of her parents and had a relatively typical upbringing in terms of family structure and environment. Her parents described her as loving and attentive, and there's no indication from public information at least that her early home life was chaotic or unsafe. She was described as quirky, eccentric, creative, imaginative, drawn to fantasy and storytelling, and socially different from many of her peers. So kind of the perfect friend for Payton, who liked to kind of take those people under her wing maybe.
Yeah.
In school, she was academically capable, introverted, quiet, and not part of large social groups. She tended to form more one-on-one friendships, and at times struggled with social cues and fitting in, which made her gravitate towards people like Payton, where she would feel accepted and understood. Morgan Geyser, in her early years, has been described by her parents as a child who didn't care what others thought about her, which they thought initially was actually quite a good thing for a young girl, to just be unapologetically you and not really caring about other people.
Yeah.
But actually, after the crime, they kind of reflected on some things. And one of the things that Morgan's mother brings up is the fact that she didn't really react to things as you would typically expect for a child of her age.
Right.
And one of the examples is Morgan didn't cry at the Bambi film.
Oh my God.
I didn't cry at the Bambi film.
Did you not? At the start, when the mum dies?
I don't remember crying at the Bambi film.
Well, to be fair, I assume I cry because it's very sad.
Yeah,
anything to do with animals makes me cry.
Yeah, but Morgan didn't show any distress for Bambi's mother. She was more concerned about Bambi getting out and saving herself, which I think you could interpret in two ways, that she's worried about Bambi, showing she does care for others, or maybe has that disconnect and like a save yourself mentality.
But I don't know at what age you develop that sense of things from other people's point of view.
Yeah, and I feel like it's been brought up in relation to it. I heard her mother speaking about, she didn't cry at the Bambi films. And like I just said, I don't remember if I cried at the Bambi films. I don't remember doing it, so I'm assuming that I didn't. But, obviously I'm not saying by any means if you didn't cry at Bambi, you're going to go on to commit a violent crime or you don't have empathy. It's just when something like this happens and it's so unexpected, because she had a very stable home life.
Yeah.
And maybe she was a quirky child who didn't really fit in, and people try and look for things, and then they've said, well, she didn't typically respond how I would expect. She didn't cry at Bambi, and I'm sure there's other examples, but that's the one she brought up.
To be fair, I cry at everything, so
yeah,
I don't mean anything. Quite happy, sad, angry.
Payton and Morgan, like I said, were friends since elementary school, and they had a pretty stable friendship that grew more complicated. When the girls moved to Horning Middle School, also in Waukesha, around 6th grade, when Morgan was around 11 or 12 years old, she became friends with a girl called Anissa Weier. Anissa Weier also grew up in Waukesha and lived with her parents and siblings, also in a stable middle-class household, and again, from all public accounts, her upbringing was not marked by instability or chaos. Her home life appears to be ordinary and supportive. She had been described as quiet, introverted, shy, socially anxious, and more comfortable in small groups or online, and emotionally very sensitive. She didn't want attention as a child. She tended to stay on the edge of social groups, observing more than participating. She felt out of place among her peers and struggled with her confidence. Her interests and hobbies centered around online content and internet culture, and she loved fantasy, imaginative storytelling, and supernatural stories in particular.
Right.
So Slenderman, great fit for her. Her interests themselves aren't unusual to have at this age, obviously. I mean, you said you played the Slenderman game, you knew about Slenderman, and we would have been 13 in 2009 when it came about, so...
Yeah, I don't know if I was slightly older when I played the game.
Yeah, maybe when we heard about it, we were slightly older. But
it would have been like 14.
Yeah, I don't think it's weird, because as a young child, when you watch those scary things, it's just a fun thing to do at sleepovers and scare other people, so I don't think it's abnormal that they had these interests. Anissa was in the choir and did projects where she would FaceTime other kids from a flight academy. I'm not sure what a flight academy is, but it was just reinforcing that she was better on a screen other than that face-to-face communication. So I think she very much, her years, she was shaped by the internet, it seems. Her parents actually did begin to monitor her screen time and what she was working on these projects, and they had boundaries on her iPad where she would need to turn it off at 7:30 p.m. and spend time with her family. Her dad said she would spend time in her room, but her door would always need to be kept open so they could monitor what she was doing. And there have been claims, or I guess blame, to the families of Morgan and Anissa, saying that you should have done better parenting, basically. You should have monitored your kids more heavily. And although I can absolutely see that, okay, they had rules in place, I think those rules very much could have been bent, because I remember me and my brother had rules around watching TV at certain times, or, you know, turning the internet off at certain times. On certain days, they would just be, oh, let me stay on another half an hour.
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know, her door's left open, but they're not hovering over her. She could just change tabs.
Is fair.
I think that's what most parents do. That's where I'm going with it. I don't think it's anything that they did wrong.
No.
And I think this is so out of the realms of any parent's radar.
Yeah, what are you monitoring for? Your child to be a murderer? Like...
Yeah. So I think it's a bit unfair to blame the families at all, because even if they, like I said, bent those rules from time to time, which I'm just guessing they did because that's what my parents used to do when I'd be like, oh, it's the weekend, can I be on here for another half an hour? And they'd be like, yeah, okay.
They're hardly just letting them run wild. Like, this is clearly an attentive, or both attentive households. It's not like they're just left to do whatever they want.
No chaos, so why would this even be on their radar? So I just think it's a bit unfair that the families have got blame from this. So they've both said, Morgan and Anissa's family have said there was no direct signs, and I think that's fair. I don't think there were any signs that this would have happened. Anissa at school was described very similarly to Morgan. She was described as academically capable, quiet, and not part of large friendship groups. She wasn't known as a disruptive student. Instead, she just blended into the background. She was polite, quiet, and often overlooked by her peers, and she also struggled with social cues and found it difficult to form friendships, which made her vulnerable to feeling excluded. When Morgan and Anissa met, their friendship formed fast and was intense. They connected over their joint feelings of being different from their peers, their shared interest in fantasy, and both seemed to enjoy escapism through imaginary worlds. Their personalities seemed to click, where their friendship felt close, very quick, and Morgan obviously still had Payton as a friend, so the three friends kind of formed this triangle. I'm sure we've all been in friendships like this, particularly in school, where Morgan is kind of the connection. Without Morgan, I don't necessarily think Payton and Anissa would have been friends, as they didn't have the solid foundation that Morgan and Payton had. And I think Payton said she found Anissa very emotionally unpredictable.
Right.
And Anissa really placed Morgan's friendship as high on her priorities. She clung to that friendship. She would try and impress Morgan, I think, by kind of, when they were in the three, kind of making fun of Payton a little bit.
Right.
And kind of making jokes at her expense or calling her names. And then, interestingly, when Morgan wasn't about, Anissa would actually apologise to Payton, which kind of feels a little bit manipulative.
Yeah.
But I guess she is only 12. And this is the thing with this case, it's really hard to comment when children are only 12, because sometimes children do not very nice things.
Just to try to be cool or whatever.
Yeah. And they don't really form all of their empathy and self-awareness until they're older. So I guess you could look at it both ways, but that's Payton's version of things.
Would Morgan have been her only real life friend as well?
I think so.
In IRL and not online.
Yeah, I feel like other friendships she had kind of centred around those projects or in an online space. So when she met Morgan and their bond developed so quickly,
she was going to do anything.
She had already felt left out socially, and this is someone who understood her. So they clicked. It kind of became this typical dynamic where Payton started to feel left out from their friendship.
Yeah.
And she actually tried to distance herself sometimes from them, but would always come back to Morgan because she didn't want Morgan to feel abandoned after such a long friendship.
Yeah.
So she would go back and kind of deal with the feeling that they were leaving her out, or Anissa was sometimes making fun of her, and she would just forgive all of it.
Accept it for what it is.
She was a non-confrontational child. Like I said, she just all round sounds like a really well-rounded child. So in the triangle, each girl had their own emotional needs to be met from their friendships. Payton's need was that she wanted harmony. trying to be loyal, and she didn't like conflict and valued long-term friendships. Morgan's needs were that she needed to be imaginative with people, she was socially different and drawn to intense friendships and struggled with shifting loyalties. And Anissa's need was that she was introverted, often lonely and eager for belonging, and grew attached quickly and deeply. So the psychology of the three are very different, but we can kind of see how that formed that little triangle, so I thought it was important to go over. Anissa was very insecure when it came to her friendship with Morgan, and Morgan struggled to balance the two friendships she had. Morgan became more withdrawn, her interest shifted to more darker themes, and she began struggling more socially, but Payton was loyal and stuck by her friends. Teachers and other classmates later described the bond between Morgan and Anissa as inseparable. They did everything together, and with this, Morgan also began to spend less time with Payton, which, again, I'm sure this is just scenarios that we've all been through as children.
Yeah.
Payton later said that she felt uneasy around Anissa, like I said, because of the emotional instability. Now we have this dynamic going on when both Morgan and Anissa, who were already drawn to fantasy worlds, the supernatural, the darker side of things, they were introduced to Slenderman through creepypasta stories, YouTube videos, and internet forums. Slenderman was a widely shared fictional character in online horror communities, and their interest in Slenderman started around 2013, when the girls were in 6th grade. So I don't know how old they would have been then, but I'm guessing like 11.
Yeah.
Morgan was actually the person who introduced Anissa to Slenderman, and Morgan, as we know, she struggled to disconnect the fantasy from reality.
Yeah.
For Morgan, who felt different from others, the Slenderman legend often came with themes of secret societies, chosen individuals, and special missions. So for someone who felt different or misunderstood, this kind of internet legend can feel really including and validating. Morgan then introduced Slenderman to Anissa, who quickly became just as interested and drawn into this fantasy as Morgan, but arguably Anissa was actually more intensely invested in the Slenderman fantasy, and this could have been for Anissa, who was insecure of their bond. This was like the shared interest, so it just intensified that bond, so that might be why she became more invested. But the pair, they had a big obsession with Slenderman. Most kids who looked into Slenderman, I'm sure there were others who believed he was real and were generally afraid of him, but I think most people in these online forums, they knew it was a fantasy. But for these two, they kind of went with the narrative that was being put in the online forums, saying Slenderman exists in the minds of those who believe in him.
Like Santa.
And they took this literally. Classmates also thought that the way the pair spoke about Slenderman, they were fully believing in him. And this made people feel uncomfortable, because even their peers around the same time, it might have been a scary story, but they knew he wasn't real. But these two girls really believed in it, and Payton shared the view that she found the Slenderman legend creepy, unsettling, and just not interesting to her. And she went to her mum because Morgan and Anissa kept talking about it, and her mum was kind of like, look, it's not real, but maybe just, you know, be kind to them. And so she was polite, she never mocked it, but she just didn't engage with their interest. And this was the real turning point, as Slenderman was a world for Morgan that she was fully immersed in and believed in, and for Anissa it was a way to bond with Morgan and intensify their connection. And for Payton, it was something she didn't really understand, felt left out of, and increasingly made her more of an outsider in their already shifting dynamic.
Yeah.
There are many stories or interpretations of the Slenderman legend, all sparked from the creation that Ellen went through, and people would take inspiration and create their own lore from it. I'm just going to stick to the lore that Morgan and Anissa believed. Some creepypasta stories describe Slenderman's mansion in the woods, sometimes referred to as a Slender Mansion. So there's this whole thing that Slenderman lives in this mansion in the woods, where these woods are.
I never have heard of that.
It's a thing. It's a narrative.
The doorways must be huge.
Does he even need doorways? Does he just float through them? Who knows?
Yeah, well, that's true.
The mansion is portrayed as a place that children who serve Slenderman live, and these children are called his proxies. Slenderman, they believe, doesn't act alone. He uses proxies that are children or teens who are chosen to serve him. They basically go out and do his bidding and then go to live with him. I don't know why you would want that.
Literally, when you said at the start that they wanted to live with him, I thought, why? He's not cool.
I kind of get it in a little bit, but I feel like half of this story they kind of wanted it, and then the other half they were afraid of the consequences, because part of this lore is the girls believing Slenderman could watch them, appear in their dreams, and even communicate through signs and feelings. Slenderman can appear suddenly, follow people, and be anywhere at any time. So for children, this would be frightening.
Yeah.
Especially as other pieces of lore describe him as vengeful, and if you disobey Slenderman, he is capable of harming those who don't follow him.
Right.
So I feel like they got into it. It kind of sounds like they just wanted to live with him. They wanted to be the chosen ones, maybe because of that feeling they don't fit in, and this was like their dark fantasy world that they enjoyed. But then I think they believed that Slenderman could be in their dreams, which if you're a child, you might have a nightmare about Slenderman. But
Probably
to these
would.
girls, that's a sign he's communicating with me. That means he's real. I'm one of the chosen ones. I'm one of the proxies, and if I don't go out and do his bidding, he's going to harm me or my family. So I do kind of get it, but I just feel it would have to be a big process, if you get what I mean, of just getting sucked into this. As I said, people in these forums and online spaces would be encouraging each other to believe, and a common theme was that Slenderman exists in the minds of those who know him, and he becomes real if you believe he's real, like I said. Morgan and Anissa took this seriously, and their belief in Slenderman developed over months and only got more intense, with both reinforcing the other. So they had no one really, because Payton was just polite about it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing their other classmates would be like, oh, that's a bit weird, I'm not getting involved with that, but no one, I don't think people were really
grounding them.
Yeah, and I feel like if people did say he wasn't real, they were like, Slenderman is real if I believe he's real.
Yeah.
Take that. Good comeback. And they believed if they didn't prove themselves to Slenderman, he would kill their families, then come after them. They described feeling terrified, and both of their thinking became distorted, and believed that they were going to have to act out of necessity, not choice. After they would prove themselves, they believed that Slenderman would welcome them with open arms, and they could live in his mansion in the Nicollet National Forest, a real forest in Wisconsin, which is handy for them.
So local.
Obviously, I looked up how far it was from them, and although in the same state, it was still 195 miles away from Waukesha, which would roughly be a 3.5 hour drive to get there.
Wow.
And to walk without breaks, it would be 72 hours straight.
God.
And obviously, both of them being 12, they didn't drive, so they would have had to walk there. Slenderman doesn't just come scoop you up. You've got to go to him. You've done his bidding, and he's been following you for months. But taking you to the mansion, that's too much. You've got to walk there.
If you really want it, you can walk there.
Yeah. And I was wondering, like, why do they believe it's in Nicollet? Like, did people tell them this, or did they just know of this big woods by Wisconsin and think that's where he lives? But they believe the mansion was here, as the mythology almost always involves that the mansion is in a heavily wooded area,
right,
by abandoned buildings, remote locations, and places where people could disappear. And although no one actually specifically said the mansion was based in Nicollet National Forest, some of the forums vaguely mentioned that the forest was deep in the northern woods or hidden in the forests of Wisconsin.
Okay.
And users would also comment things like, if Slenderman was real, he'd definitely live somewhere like Nicollet. And the girls being from Wisconsin, all of that, they
It's a
filled in the
sign.
gaps.
Yeah.
And they thought heavily wooded area in the northern part of the state, because Waukesha is kind of near the bottom of Wisconsin. I will put up a map, and then Nicollet is in the northern parts. So it's saying it was in the northern forest. I think
They've just put two and two together. Yeah.
We have this background now of two misunderstood pre-teens who didn't fit in, who was immersed in this online mythology about a creepy figure and believed in him fully, and also now had a belief they were going to be his proxies. They believed they were chosen. So in the winter months of 2013 to 2014, Anissa and Morgan started planning, but it was more abstract in this time. So they believed they were chosen, but they didn't actually know what being chosen was means. And I still can't get my head around why they went to this.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know what the forums were saying around this time. So for all we know, the forums said you have to make a sacrifice. But in the initial planning phase, their planning was more abstract. They were like, what would Slenderman want us to do?
Yeah.
So it was more they were just sparking with each other. I just don't understand
how this was it.
But I'm thinking maybe it was on the forums. Obviously, he does snatch children and they go missing, so...
Yeah.
So they would say, what would Slenderman want and how would his proxies prove themselves? So they know they had to do something.
Yeah.
Their plan developed and became more concrete, and in the spring of 2014, for whatever reason, from what they absorbed in an online space, they had answered their question and decided they needed to make a sacrifice to Slenderman. Again, that's what I was going to, like, I don't know how they got to that, but I'm guessing it's from what they absorbed online and just their own, no one grounding them.
Yeah.
There's no one saying, this is
ridiculous,
what are we actually doing?
Yeah.
And I really feel like it shows their age of, like, you can just make a sacrifice of someone and go living in a mythical mansion and not get caught by the police.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. They had chosen their target. And their target was Payton, not through anything Payton had done, just because they had access to her. So they were like, this is going to be easy. Morgan was having a sleepover for her 12th birthday party. She invited Payton. The three went to a roller rink, went rollerblading, returned home to the sleepover. And Payton said usually when she had sleepovers with Morgan would always like to stay up late. But on this particular night, Morgan wanted to go to bed early, so even though that was a bit strange, it doesn't signify that you're going to be sacrificed to Slenderman.
Yeah.
But they both, Morgan and Anissa was like, no, we're going to sleep early. When Payton woke up, the other two had already gone downstairs and gone onto the computer and left Payton in the room, and, you know, you would think they would wake them all up and go downstairs together.
Yeah, you'd be annoyed, like, what the hell, guys?
But again, Payton's a nice person. She just thought maybe they went to bed early, they woke up early. She went downstairs and joined them and they all had donuts for breakfast because it was Morgan's birthday.
Nice.
And then Morgan asked her mum, can we go out and play in the park? And her mum usually would have gone with them, but it was her birthday. Maybe she thought she's 12. This is like a treat for turning 12. You can go on your own. So the girls headed to a heavily wooded area called David's Park, and they initiated a game of hide and seek. Morgan volunteered herself to be the seeker. So Anissa and Payton went to hide, and Anissa was like, you should lie down and I will cover you with leaves, and that will be your hiding place. And I think if I was 12, I would have laid down and be covered with leaves.
Yeah, I would have been like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't actually think it's... Yeah, and this is the thing, I just feel like it's so out of the blue, and there's nothing in here that makes me go, oh, that's a bit weird. So she lays down on the ground, is covered with leaves, and Anissa waits. All of a sudden, she shouts out to Morgan saying, go crazy, go ballistic, and after she says that, allegedly turns around and covers her eyes so she doesn't have to watch what Morgan's about to do. Morgan then walks over to Payton and says, don't be scared, I'm just a little kitty, and pounces on her. And obviously she's on the floor covered in leaves thinking they're playing a game of hide and seek. So this is just totally horrific. Pinning her down, whispers in her ear, I'm sorry, before using a kitchen knife that she had taken prior to the sleepover even occurring.
Oh, jeez.
And brutally stabs Payton 19 times in the arms, legs and torso, The knife was huge, and on a 12-year-old girl, the wounds were catastrophic. But luckily, one actually missed a major artery in her heart by the width of a human hair. So lucky.
Yeah, but she still died.
No, she didn't.
Oh, she didn't die?
No.
I thought she died.
No.
Wow.
No. Payton's a warrior, and we'll get on to that. She also had injuries to her liver, stomach, and diaphragm. So, although luckily the one missed the artery, the attack was brutal, and her injuries are very, very serious.
God.
This is a 12-year-old girl who was lying down, not expecting this to
You
occur.
can't defend yourself like that.
She was
How did
pinned
she
down.
not bleed out?
I know, it's absolutely she is so lucky.
When you said she was lucky, I was like, well, she's not that lucky because she still died. Like,
no, I think if they hit her artery, she would have died.
Oh, for sure. Wow.
So the fact that they missed it by the width of a human hair.
That's wild.
Crazy. After they finished the attack, Payton was still clinging to life, and Morgan and Anissa told Payton to remain lying on the floor and they will go and find help. And we all know that's not what they were going to do. So they essentially thought Payton was going to die. They thought they had killed her.
Yeah.
But she was in the process of dying. So they knew she wasn't quite dead. But they thought, just continue to lay there. We'll go get help. And they set off. But obviously we know they weren't going to get help.
Yeah.
And they left Payton to basically just die in the woods all on her own. Payton, though, was a fighter, and she dragged herself to a nearby road, which was more of a paved trail that was used by joggers, cyclists, and families.
Yeah.
And again, by absolute luck, Payton encountered Greg Steinberg, a man riding his bicycle that morning on the trail. Payton was struggling to even stay upright, and she was distressed, and before...
She was stood up?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Pulled herself up on a tree and made her way to this trail. So,
wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
She was distressed, and before he even saw anything graphic kind of on her, he knew something was wrong just by the way she was acting.
I guess it would all be on her back, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think she might have been covered in leaves, and I don't... He says that nothing was like spurting out, it was kind of like all dried, and we don't know what clothes she was wearing or what she looked like, but he said she looked distressed, he knew something was wrong. He stopped the bicycle and approached her and asked her what happened. Payton just told him she needed help, and he called 911 while staying with her and reassuring her she was not alone. He also kept talking to her and keeping her conscious. So this man is an absolute hero, and Payton's a hero.
Yeah.
Because she kept fighting and he kept calm. And I'm going to play you the 911 call because it's public, and you'll just see how calm he stays.
911. What's the address of your emergency?
Waukesha County, Lincoln. I'm transferring over a caller on Big Bend. That's a dead end just south of Rivera.
Okay.
Came upon a 12-year-old female. She appears to be stabbed.
She appears to be what?
Stabbed.
Stabbed?
Correct.
Okay.
Sir, are you still there?
Yes.
Hi, sir. So are you with this 12-year-old female?
Yeah, she says she's having trouble breathing. She said she was stabbed multiple times.
Stabbed multiple times?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Are you with her right now?
Yes.
Is she awake?
She's awake.
Is she breathing?
Yeah, she's breathing. She said she can take shallow breaths. She's alert.
Okay, stay with her. We're sending the police department. Don't hang up, okay?
Oh,
hold on just a minute. Don't hang up.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on just a minute, sir. We're sending officers.
Okay.
Is there any assailant around?
I didn't even look. I don't see anybody.
It's a dead end. Okay, stay right with her, sir. Is she on the ground or is she standing up?
No, she's laying on the grass.
Laying on the grass. Stay right with her. Just let me know if she is remaining conscious or not, okay?
Okay.
Is there any bleeding going on?
Her clothing has got blood on it.
Where are the wounds? Do you see where the wounds are?
No, I don't know if I should be rolling her over and checking or not. Do you know where?
Okay, just stay with her and just let me know if she's conscious or alert or stops breathing or anything. Hold on, I'm going to talk to the ambulance. Police are also en route.
Okay, thank you. I'm bothering you at all? My shade? Okay. You're very sorry.
Okay. Just keep her in that position. Just let me know on her breathing.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
My name?
Your name.
My name.
Okay, were you just passing through?
Yes.
Okay, and you found her and she was just laying there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you see any active bleeding or blood spurting out or anything like that?
No, unless it's underneath her. I just see just dried blood.
Okay, just dried blood. Okay. Okay, is she still breathing? Is she still alert?
Yeah.
Okay, stay with her. Stay with her. Keep an eye on her. Hold on just a minute. Do not hang up, sir.
Okay, I will not. Who did that to you? Or don't you want to talk?
And she didn't say who did this or how it
I
happened?
don't know. I don't know if she wants to be talking. I started to ask her, and then
That's okay. If she's
got to save her energy, I think.
okay, but you see nobody else around you. Are you clearly visible when they pull down that road towards the dead end that they'll see you?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Are you clearly visible when they come down there so they see you?
I got a strobe flashlight on my bicycle. I'll shine that towards any emergency vehicle I see. And I'll be standing in the middle of the road.
You're in the middle of the road, and where's she, in the side of the road?
Yeah, she's on the grass. A little trail I take on my bicycle.
Okay, see. Don't hang up, sir. Just stay right with me.
Okay.
And let me know immediately if you see anything else suspicious in the area, a car, a person, anything.
All right.
Keep your eyes open. Was anyone coming or leaving, or any cars coming or leaving when you came upon her?
No.
Nothing?
No.
So were you on foot walking by, or did you pull up in a car?
Bicycle.
You're on a bicycle.
Yeah.
How did you see her? Did you just...
She's right in the middle of the little path I take.
Middle of the little path. Okay.
Yeah. There's a squad car coming now.
Okay, there's a squad car coming? Okay, flag the squad car down, protect her.
Here he's coming.
Does she have a bike or anything with her?
No, I don't see it. One sandal is off, but, maybe 3 feet away from her.
Okay, flag that officer down. I'm going to let you go. Okay, you meet with him right now, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
He's calm in a crisis.
He is calm and he's doing all the right things. Payton later recounting, realising this whole event, she was laying on the ground after it happened, and she recounts kind of realising that if she didn't get up and move, she was going to die. So, like I said, she grabbed some trees for support and then walked until she hit a patch of grass where she could lie down on, and then she encountered Greg. So I'm guessing Greg saw her as she was walking, and then she kind of fell on the floor and Greg came over to her, because at the point you're walking, I don't even know when your body's just trying to stay alive, if you would notice what's going on around you. So she was in and out of consciousness and struggled to remember the events of what had happened. And when she got to the hospital, she needed surgery, but before even going into surgery, she's able to tell police exactly who had done this to her. And when she woke up from said surgery, the first thing she wanted to know was, did they catch them? So she's on it. After the attack, the two, Morgan and Anissa, walked out of the woods, didn't run, they weren't frantic, they weren't emotional, they just walked normally away from the park and began heading towards Nicollet National Forest to join Slenderman. They weren't even trying to conceal themselves or concerned about the police, they were just following what they believed. They reached Interstate 94, a major highway in Wisconsin, and were spotted heading north. They had no real understanding of the distance or the geography or how long it would actually take them to reach Nicollet Forest. They were just 12-year-olds confused and completely immersed in their old fantasy world. I don't know if they looked up a Google Maps route or anything. I think they literally were just well, it's north, so we'll just walk north until we find it.
Did they bring any supplies?
No, so they obviously weren't thinking this was a 70... I think they had a backpack, actually, but it wouldn't have been, proper survival gear. So I think they were literally just we'll just head north until we find it.
Oh my god.
So it's just, and this is the thing, it's two 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's so poorly thought out, but...
Of course it is.
12-year-olds, yeah, so it's just crazy. They were on a highway, so their location was completely visible, and a police officer spotted them who had already been alerted that two 12-year-old girls were missing, maybe on foot, and believed to be connected to a serious incident. This was roughly 5 hours after the 911 call and was the early afternoon, and when approached by the officer, the girls were calm, tired, emotionally flat, and appeared confused about what was happening to them, because in their mind, they're going to see Slenderman, and Slenderman will deal with all this real life stuff.
Of course.
Whilst in custody, both girls had emotional detachment, but Anissa was more emotional than Morgan. She was anxious and did cry at times. She expressed fear of Slenderman and seemed more aware than Morgan that something was seriously wrong, whereas Morgan was completely living inside a fantasy world at this point. The girls' stories both aligned with one another, and then when Payton was able to tell the story, it aligned with her version as well. So it does appear that Anissa, I don't know whether she turned around or not and covered her eyes, because at that point Morgan was stabbing Payton. Payton was being stabbed. I don't know that either of them would notice if Anissa did that, so Anissa could be the one reporting that. That's just my speculation.
So there was definitely no change in the perpetrator stabbing, so it was one of them.
One perpetrator, but I don't know if Anissa covered her eyes and didn't watch.
Yeah.
But she's 12, so
I was going to
wouldn't
say,
be surprised if she did.
19 times, like, I would have thought that they would have taken it in turns, because that's a lot of energy to do that, and if she wanted to prove herself to Morgan, she would probably do it, but then if it was the same person, obviously
I don't know if Payton would be able to say, but I definitely
think... She would notice that, wouldn't you? Someone would get off you and another person would get on.
And I definitely think that Morgan would have interest legally, and her defence team, I'm sure, questioned her on it, because, and I don't know if Morgan would just be like, yeah, no, I did it all. I think you would say if she did it, but I just don't know if she was covering her eyes while Morgan did it, because that obviously shows a lot more remorse as well, like you know, the seriousness of it. If you were like cheering her on while she was doing it, that would be obviously very different as well. So I don't feel confident in saying Anissa definitely just stood there and covered her eyes and then, you know, turned around from it, because in my mind Payton and Morgan wouldn't be focusing on what Anissa was doing.
No,
so
only she knows.
Both girls also told the same story, that they had to do this because of Slenderman, and their interrogations also has been made public. So I will place just short clips of them just so you can see the girls' demeanour. I'll show Ellen quickly off camera now so she knows what we're going on about, and then I'll put them up on the screen later. So we'll start with Anissa.
Okay. And there's one of them called Slenderman. It's like really Slenderman. It's Slenderman.
Oh, Slenderman, like a skinny guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he has these proxies, or servants, as people would call them.
Okay.
Masky and hoodie. And Morgan said, "Hey, Anissa, we should be proxies." And I was like, okay, how would we do that? And that was around end of December, beginning of January.
Okay. And a proxy again, what is a proxy?
It's like a servant, or like an apprentice.
Okay, and they're a servant of who?
Whichever, they kind of don't have a choice. Slender's like the really big, he's like the head of it all, supposedly.
Okay, so Slender's the big guy.
Yeah.
The top guy. And the proxies are his puppets.
Yes, that's how people put them, puppets.
Oh, okay.
She made it seem necessary, and I figured if it was necessary, then I would.
So the person that talked to Anissa told him who to do it?
Yep. It was more of a message. I don't know. She didn't go very in depth. I might as well just say it. We were trying to kill her. I don't know why it was necessary that it was her, but it seemed very necessary. This is going to get me arrested, isn't it? I won't take back any of it.
You won't take it back because it's all the truth?
It's all the truth.
And that's what's important here, is to tell the truth.
I know. One time I got suspended because I accidentally brought a hammer to school.
Why'd you bring the hammer to school?
Because I was cleaning my room and I shoved it in my backpack. So I know that it's important to tell the truth.
How long ago was that?
A while ago. It was this year, though. But it was an accident. I thought you should know.
Like how earlier this year?
At the beginning.
So you use a hammer to hurt somebody? Or?
No, it was an accident.
An accident?
We've been over it. I went over it with the principal. I figure you have access to all those files if you need more information, so I might just tell you.
You're a pretty smart girl.
I read a lot of books about things like this in the library.
What kind of books do you read?
I read a lot of books. I read medical dictionaries, I read Harry Potter, I read Star Trek books, I read just random books that I get from there's one section about like the police and things.
So, just getting back a little bit, so what, Anissa told you that somebody told her or that it was necessary to kill?
I was confused a little bit.
What do you mean you're confused?
I didn't really understand what we were doing, but I was the one who, final kill. I don't know if she's alive though.
She's alive.
Crying. Good.
I don't really understand Morgan's motive if she says that it's good that she's alive, because surely at this point, if you really believed it, you're going to be thinking, Slenderman's going to be after me.
Yeah.
Anissa, I feel like, was showing more fear and more remorse. Morgan,
Or was it remorse or was it just fear?
Yeah. I don't understand Morgan saying it's good that Payton survived.
She was like, I don't really know what was going on. I don't even know if she's alive.
Her demeanour is very concerning to me. Both of them, I mean, it's just a sad case because they're 12, but just doing something that serious and just having no kind of concept, like, oh, I don't even know if she's still alive. She's still alive, good.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's just weird. So their sentencing was quite tricky and unusual. The girls were only 12 at the time. And in Wisconsin, their charge, which was attempted homicide, because it was, automatically starts in adult court. Both defence teams argued that because of their age, their cases should have been moved to juvenile court, which would mean the maximum confinement they could get was until aged 18.
Really?
So...
Wow.
Obviously, that charge starts in adult court, so you would get a heftier sentence. But if they had won that, which they don't, by the way, the judge is like, no.
Absolutely not.
How many years would that be? 6?
6 for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the judge was like, no. I'm going to side with the prosecution and you're both going to be tried in adult court. Morgan's trial heavily centred around her mental health, and many experts diagnosed her with early onset schizophrenia. She actually was found to be suffering with hallucinations and delusional thinking, and these evaluations were extensive and unanimous, and usually you can't be diagnosed with schizophrenia until 18.
Right.
So the fact that
they all said
it unanimously that it was early onset schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say who am I to disagree with this? But anyway, but
unanimous,
I just think it's
well.
important to note that it's not like an adult getting a diagnosis of schizophrenia. This is quite rare.
Yeah, and how do you deal with that at 12?
Yeah.
Wow.
So these evaluations were extensive and unanimous, like I said, and in 2017 she accepted a plea deal. She pled guilty to first-degree intentional homicide, and then the court then held a separate hearing to determine whether she was legally responsible or not due to her mental state. So her legal team would have basically come to an agreement with the prosecution. We will plead guilty to these charges because there's not really a question on whether she did it or not. Yeah. But then they needed to hold a separate trial for the sentencing, and her trial of the sentencing was only seen by a judge, and that was the trial to determine whether she was legally responsible or not. The judge in that court ruled that Morgan was not guilty by reason of mental disease and was a danger to herself or others without treatment. So she is in a mental health hospital, which is like the group home that I said at the beginning that she escaped from, with a maximum length of 40 years. But she could get out earlier depending on her treatment and how she responds to this. And just interestingly, with Morgan suffering from hallucinations and delusional thinking. So the delusional thinking is believing Slenderman's real. I think she had other things that she believed, and while she was in custody, it really came out apparently. So there was a lot of signs, but I'm thinking if Morgan wasn't saying to Anissa, I've seen him. I'm wondering if she was having hallucinations of him. And then telling Anissa, I've seen him.
Like, he is gonna get us if we don't do this thing.
And even without early onset schizophrenia and actual hallucinations, it takes me back to a time in my primary school. And I love relating parts of my life to stories because it helps me understand them more. But when I was in primary school, we had a field that had a fence, but the fence was just like a wire fence, so you could see straight through it, and it backed onto these woods where people would often walk their dogs. And we had someone called the Black Man, which was just a man dressed head to toe in like a big black trench coat and a hat. Whether he was real or not, and it was just someone walking their dog, I don't know if someone saw that and then started the rumour and we all caught on, but you would go to like the far end of the playground and then after be like, I saw the Black Man there.
I mean, I started my own. I've done it. I remember doing it when I was in the woods.
And even I remember one of my classmates, she went swimming on the weekend, and I don't even know if she got this injury while swimming, but she basically had cut her chin. And she came in and said the Black Man was in the swimming pool with her and had gorged a bit of her chin out. And we all ate that up.
I remember.
We believed it.
Yeah, because you do. I remember when we used to play in the woods, and I can't remember what we were doing, building a den or something. We were all gone our separate ways to collect wood for it, and I had to crawl across this log, and there was a daddy long legs on there. So I ran, like, screaming, and everyone was like, what happened? And I wasn't going to say I saw a daddy long legs, so I was like, there was a man in the woods. He had this black cloak and he chased me through the woods. And then it became like a whole thing. And then people were like, I've seen him. And I was like, bro, I don't know how you saw him because I completely made it up. But it was a thing then. And like people believed it and fed into it. And it just like spiraled out of control.
Were you in primary school?
Yeah, I would have been in primary school.
Because how funny would it be? Because me and Adam went to different primary schools, but it's close enough in proximity. How funny would it be if because it's the same sort of thing. It's the trench coat, the man in the woods with the trench coat. What if it fed its way from your primary school to my primary school through mutual friends?
All from a daddy long legs.
And you started it. But it's funny how it's like the same thing. Like, why is it a man in a black coat?
And then, people genuinely thought they had seen this person, which I know they can't have seen it because I made it up.
But I'm sure in their heads, they know.
Genuinely believe.
But because I remember being like, I've seen the Black Man, and I hadn't. And I knew full well I hadn't. I was just a little liar. I just wanted the clout. So when I think back and I was looking at this case, all I could think of was if Slenderman was a being when I was in primary school, that being in the woods would have been Slenderman.
Yeah, if like that was a thing in primary school, maybe I would have said Slenderman got me. Or like went to get me. It's quite possible.
So I think even, obviously, Morgan had things going on, but I can see how these two would have G'd each other up so much, and no one was there to ground them and bring them down, because no one was telling, like, my friendship group, oh, he's not real. We were all just there lying to each other and feeding it.
We would run through the woods. I would be scared of it, and I knew it was BS.
I thought it was real, but I made up seeing him because I hadn't seen him, and I was like, everyone else is seeing him and I'm not.
God damn.
So I'm just going to say that I've seen him, but I generally thought there was a guy there. But it would be to the point where you would get back from break and be like, I was almost grabbed, I was almost taken, and someone actually on a weekend going swimming and having an injury said it was this guy. So I don't know how it started, but this is just...
Maybe we know. Maybe we now know how it started. You're welcome.
That's actually jokes that we both had the same thing.
But you know what? Even though I made up that story, something genuinely terrifying did happen to me as a child on Strawberry Track.
Oh, yeah.
I was walking my dog.
Yeah.
And I looked behind me and there was a person in, you know, it was like a cloak with a pointy hat, black, and they were walking behind me, and I thought, right, I've got to get to the road, because I was not that close to the top where the road is, and I was like, right, I looked behind, they saw me look behind, and I was like, I'm going to have to pick up my pace now. So I picked up my pace. They started running. I started running, and then I got to the road, and I was like, I'm safe. Genuinely, and they weren't there anymore. Now, I think that was probably a prank, and they just found it so funny, but I found that so scary.
Horrible.
Yeah, so that did happen. That wasn't
If you're
BS.
out there pranking people like that, just don't do that.
I know, it's like a child.
That's like when people got the clowns out and everything.
Yeah.
But just its own isolated incident.
Yeah, and that happened way after I made up my story. So.
It was karma for making up that story. It was like, we're going to get an actual guy chasing you through the woods.
It was so scary, and I never wanted to walk through Strawberry Track on my own. Even I think about it quite a lot, actually.
Do you remember that other guy though, in secondary school, where I don't know if it actually happened or it was just a rumour? You know the front of the school gates that you would all walk through?
Yeah.
There was apparently this guy who would like expose himself. But I don't actually... You've never heard of that?
Well, I don't remember it. Doesn't mean I never heard
it. Was such a rumour. And people would be like, yeah, there was this guy just exposing himself. And other people would say it. But so many people walked out of those gates, and they said he was right opposite the school where the teachers would be able to see him. So I don't think it was true, but we all just fed into it and was like, yeah, he exposed himself to me.
Oh my god, I don't remember that.
Attention-seeking liar. Do you know what I mean? And knowing that you don't remember it...
That doesn't mean anything though.
Yeah, but it makes me think, was it just in my friendship group thing that we all just said
maybe.
that?
Yeah,
if it didn't filter through to you, but... Because obviously secondary school's bigger, but it's just just another example of like at school when you're a kid and you don't want to be left out.
Yeah.
And people are saying things, you're like, oh, that happened to me too. It's just
so
funny.
weird.
But it could have been that a guy generally was exposing himself to a bunch of secondary school kids, which is
not cool.
That got dark.
Ooh.
Anyway, back to Anissa.
Oh my god, yeah.
That was a tangent and a half.
Yeah.
But it really just reminded me of that. And like I said, I kind of like to relate certain things because then I can understand it better. Whereas I could just be like, well, yeah, it was really weird. Like, Anissa,
how could you believe that?
Yeah, when I just know full well from my own experiences, I would be believing it.
And that's you like rationalising it with an adult brain, and then you think what you were like at that age and think,
actually, yeah. Absolutely. 100% can see that. Anissa was not found to have schizophrenia. Experts argued that she was actually experiencing folie à deux, which roughly translates to a madness shared by two. this means her delusions were dependent on Morgan's influence. So without Morgan, she may not have believed it as hard as she did. She also took a plea deal and pled guilty to second-degree intentional homicide. And I believe this was because she wasn't the one holding the knife.
She stood there.
And she wasn't the primary instigator, as they call it. And in Wisconsin, second-degree murder can still be intentional, but does include those acting out of fear. So I think that's influenced the sentence. Then, like Morgan, her case was also then taken to another trial for not guilty by reason of insanity. Anissa's defence argued she was terrified of Slenderman, which I truly believe she was, believed he would kill her family, and was emotionally dependent on Morgan. And a jury actually decided that she was not guilty due to a mental illness, and she was sentenced to a psychiatric hospital with a minimum term of 25 years.
Right.
Her case was also seen by a jury, whereas Morgan's case was just seen by a judge.
That's interesting. I thought if you pled guilty, it didn't go to, like, there was no jury. Or is it you just have no one to stand trial, like no one on the witness box?
Yeah, I don't know why it went to a jury with hers and not Morgan's, but they just made that distinction from what I was researching. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. A jury also confirmed, which I think, you know, being just more people from the general public, they had the evidence and also thought it's just, she definitely had
without
something going
Morgan,
on.
she probably wouldn't have been in the situation she's in now.
Yeah. Payton today is thriving. She has shown extraordinary resilience and has gone on to live a private, stable life. She has returned to school, graduated, and attended college. She has publicly spoken once and does not want to be defined by what happened to her. And she has worked hard to heal emotionally and wants to live a full life. Good. She has no contact with Morgan or Anissa, and although this is legally enforced, it's also a personal choice.
Yeah.
Payton doesn't hold any hate towards her two attackers and very much feels like what they did was a result of mental illness, and she trusts the court's decisions and believes mental health treatment was appropriate and does want both the girls to be supervised for as long as possible, not because she's calling for a harsher sentence, but just is
out of their welfare
and others' safety.
Yeah.
Peyton's a better person than me.
Thing is, though, if you want to properly live your life and not let it rule you, you have to let it go.
You do.
But I don't know how I would. You never know how you would actually feel about that, but fair play.
And as someone looking in from the outside of the case, I definitely think mental illness was an absolute factor, and they were 12, so they need to be in a supportive, rehabilitative environment. I'm not going to debate the court's decision anyway, but I can see that from the outside looking in. But if I was Payton, I just wouldn't have been as gracious as her. I just know it. I'm just too petty. So she's just like I said, she was described as a good person. I feel like this just really shows how much of a good person she is, and the fact that she's just been private, she's just wanted to live her life. She holds no hate towards the attackers and absolutely understands their motives.
It's not like those people that say they've let it go, but you can tell they haven't. She genuinely has let it go.
Yeah, and I think she still struggles from emotional side effects from it, but she is overcoming them, and she is living in spite of her trauma, basically. So just a very strong, resilient child. She's going to make an amazing adult, and she will be an adult by now. If Morgan's 23 in 2025, she's going to be around that age. She's going to make a fabulous adult. Anissa was granted conditional release in 2021 and is living in the community under strict supervision. She has GPS monitoring, regular check-ins with the court, mandatory therapy, medication compliance, no internet access without approval, no contact with either girls, no unsupervised travel, and random home visits. So she's still legally very much under the control of the state of Wisconsin until 2039.
Good.
So quite a while. And court documents indicate she lives with her parents, she has experienced remorse, she regrets her actions and understands the harm she has caused, which was one of the reasons the court allowed her conditional release. Morgan remains in Winnebago Mental Health Institute in Wisconsin. She has not been granted release and continues to receive treatment. She did do a petition for her release in 2023 to 2024, arguing she had improved, but the court denied her request, and her maximum term is until 2054.
Wow. I mean, the fact she escaped shows to me she shouldn't be let out, because you're not sorry.
She escaped with an associate as well, and I think the associate was outside of the institute, so I think she had contact with someone on the outside and they fled together. But it might have been someone from the institute that she fled with, but she definitely had someone with her. And yeah, I just think this case is really sad, because you think of two 12-year-old girls. One, I mean, Payton, she's going on to live a good life, but she still holds that trauma. And it should never have happened to her. But then you think, Anissa, she's got to... This was so public. She is going to carry this for the rest of her life. And it's you know, that choice that she made under childhood fear and fantasy
has followed her forever,
changed the course of her life, and like what potential could she have had if she didn't go down that route. And that's not me empathizing with what they did or anything like that. It's just a sad situation.
But at 12 you've changed your whole life. Like, that's no age, is it, really?
And then Morgan, yes, she would probably still have some degree of mental illness, mental health condition. However, without this action, she could be living a more supportive life. Like, she could be in hospital until 2050s. So
are their names changed? Like, has Anissa's name, now she's back in society, is she under a different name?
I would imagine they would have to be, because it's like the Jamie Bulger.
Yeah, that's what
killers.
I was thinking.
They have had their names changed. And there's actually adults as well. Karen Matthews, the lady who staged the kidnapping of her own daughter to get a reward with her boyfriend. So she's like out, and she's under a different name, because obviously the legal system, even though I think she's probably one of the most hated women in Britain for what she did, they still have a duty of care to protect them. So I imagine they would be, but I've just not seen that in any of the things. I thought I'd just finish it off with a little note from Eric Knudsen, or aka Victor Surge. Start from where we end where we begun. So Victor Surge, or aka Eric Knudsen, has spoken publicly about the event, and he was horrified by it. He expressed empathy for Payton and her family and made it clear he never expected this to happen, because why would he? He always has emphasised that Slenderman figure was created as fiction and nothing more. His intention was to create a creepy internet myth that was a creative exercise and entirely fictional. He also expressed sympathy for the perpetrators and their families. He never had spoken with anger or blame. It's just sadness, and the event shouldn't have ever happened. And after that, he withdrew from public attention after giving a couple of interviews about this, and had never profited from the tragedy. So he's probably just horrified to be
You would
connected.
be, wouldn't you? And think, that's what I started, and I didn't... You would obviously never think it's going to go that way, but I think I would feel guilty, even though it's unfounded. I think just naturally you would feel a bit guilty, wouldn't you?
Because it's like a butterfly effect almost. Like if I had never have done that, imagine though, if that human hair didn't happen and she actually died.
That's fate though, isn't it? Like, all of those things, she was not meant to die that day.
No.
And
just her own fight to survive at 12. So she's, like I said, she's just an absolute hero. The guy, can't remember his name now, Greg, we'll just call him Greg, the guy who made the 911 call, staying so calm and keeping her talking, he is a hero. And I feel like she's gone on to be like, I'm not going to be defined by a terrible incident, and I'm going to thrive despite having that happen to me. So that's amazing. But also it's like, I can see Eric Knudsen's point of view, where it's just sad for everyone involved, because he also probably, like I just said, you look at the two perpetrators and they're 12, like what potential could they have had if this didn't have happened? And I bet he feels almost responsible for that as well. So but absolutely he shouldn't, Because
But I think it's just human nature, isn't it? You can't help but feel a little bit guilty.
And there's loads of creepy things on the internet that doesn't result in this. This is just...
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, no, that's a horrible case. Well, I'm glad she didn't die. I'm glad that was a piece of information I did not know.
Yeah. No, she very much survived, and I don't even know how to end this now, because it's just like,
well, I guess.
It's a sad one. I mean, we usually cover the true crime cases that have a bizarre element to them. So we've done the West Memphis 3, which has the wrongful conviction, really. We've done missing people with weird elements, and this is almost like a merge between the paranormal and true crime.
Yeah, like it's clear cut. We know exactly what happened, but the circumstances around it and the origins of it are just sad.
Yeah.
And unusual, I guess. This is probably like the first... Would this have been like the first case of something like this? Because there wasn't really any internet created...
I can't think of anything really similar.
Well, what about all the Momo stuff? You know, that the kids were doing crazy stuff from that the creepy Momo face. Momo, Mimi.
No.
The smile, the woman, you know it. That.
Oh, yeah, no, I have seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was a thing. Because it was on an app, wasn't it? And it was making kids do stuff.
Yeah, that's like Blue Whale, though. That's like the game that made kids do stuff. But yeah, I think it might have been the first or kind of only one of its kind. But like the teaser said, it kind of warns the danger of that internet creativity merging into real life.
Yeah.
But like I said at the beginning, I don't want that to necessarily stop. I don't really know what the answer is. I don't know what we can learn from this.
This is just one of the evils that comes with the internet. The internet does good and it does bad.
Yeah.
And this is an example of how it can do bad. Not through intention of the people that create it, but who's exposed to it.
And I don't think Slenderman should be like, you know, we shouldn't look back on that and be like, oh, that was an awful thing to do, because it's not.
Yeah.
Like, the two people interpreted it and did an awful thing, but there was a lot of other circumstances that kind of led to that, like their whole psychology of not fitting in and feeling included online, and then their intense friendship and this whole lore that goes along with Slenderman and their interpretation of that, and also their vulnerabilities with mental illness with Morgan, and then Anissa feeding into it, and their age, and no one grounding them, and it's no fault of their parents parenting. No. It's no fault of the internet, and they're just unfortunately, you know, it's just sad, but that is just that. So, well, did you have a watchery?
I was going to say, I actually do have a watchery, which I seldom do.
Yes.
But I went to the cinema and I watched a film called Whistle. I don't know if you saw the trailer for it. I'll give a brief overview and then I'll give it my rating at the end. So basically it starts off, it's at a basketball game, like a high school basketball game. And this guy is playing basketball, and in the stand he sees this man that's like completely burnt, completely charred. You can't really see his facial features or anything, and it goes away. Then he goes to shoot his final basket, like the final score thing, and he sees the man behind the basket getting closer and closer, and he's like, no, not yet, and he runs away into the locker room. Then he gets out of his locker this box, this like ornately carved, it looks like an egg, and smashes it. And he thinks that this man that's following him now isn't following him anymore. And there's this whole like jump scare where it's actually his teammates that comes in and he thinks it's going to be that man. Anyway, he's having a shower. All of a sudden he looks down and there's like black ash in the water. Ooh. And he turns around and the man is right behind him, touches him, and he sets a light and dies. And that is the start of the film. Then this girl moves to this town, starts living with her cousin. She ends up having the same locker as the guy that died, and in the locker is that egg thing. She opens it and it's a skull that's a whistle. So she's kind of like, okay. You're not really sure what this is. Ends up getting detention and has this whistle egg thing in her bag. And the teacher sees it, who's Nick Frost.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's like, oh, that looks like a death whistle. Let's have a look and see what we can find online about it.
Shut up. First of all, I'll just be like, shut up. Don't bring this to me.
It is an Aztec death whistle, and there's Mayan writing on the side, which he's trying to decipher, which one of the girls who also gets detention just Google translates and says, oh, it says summoning the dead.
Great.
So he's like, well, I'm going to keep it. It's not yours. It was on school property. I'm going to keep hold of it. You're not taking it. Anyway, he says this because he wants to sell it on an online auction and thinks he's going to get big time money from it. As he's going through to put it on auction, it says, is it in working condition? So he blows it.
Oh.
And it shatters the glass, makes this horrible screaming sound. And basically he goes out into the hallway and sees this man in a hospital gown at the end of the hallway. And he says, like, I've called security. Obviously he hasn't, but like, you need to leave, blah, blah. He goes back inside in his office and just carries on Googling, smoking, doing whatever he's doing.
You would be like, this is something to do with the whistle.
Yeah. Turns around, this man in a hospital gown is there with blood coming out of his mouth. He puts his hands into his chest, grabs his lungs go black. His hair falls off. He starts with the blood out of the mouth and matches what the old man looks like. The group find out this is what happened to him. They end up taking the whistle back, and one of the girls gets dared to blow it whilst they're all like at this pool gathering. They all hear the whistle blow, and it's horrendous. Anyway, turns out that they tried to give the whistle back to the guardian of the boy that died.
Return to sender.
Yeah, literally. And I'm not really sure the relation. I don't know if it was his grandma. Anyway, she's a very ill woman.
Yeah.
She's dying of cancer, and she essentially says, I got this on my world travels. And they were like, oh, it summons the dead, right? And she was like, no, that's not what it says. It summons your death. So basically, she's like, death is searching for you all your life, and depending on how long you live is how long death searches for you for. But when you blow that whistle, it calls your death to where you are now, and it finds you now, not in 90 years, in 30 years, in 40 years, however long you have to live.
That's a creepy thought in itself.
How you end up dying is exactly what
Oh,
happens to you.
okay.
So the
guy had some sort of lung...
He had stage 4 lung cancer.
Right,
That's how he would have died. The other one would have died in a gas explosion. So that's how he died.
Yeah.
And so because they all heard the whistle, now death is finding all of them. All of their deaths are now trying to find them. And they were like, well, how do we stop it? And she's like, well, you can't stop death. Everyone's gonna die. You shouldn't have been born if you don't want to die. You know, you're like, all right, you can say that now. You're dying.
Or like, what do you want me to do now? I'm already born. Yeah, I didn't have a choice.
She was like, there is one way. You can, when death is near, mark someone else with your blood, and they'll take them instead of you.
Don't put that on me. I was hoping they would give like a little invisibility cloak, like the Deathly Follows, where they're like, and the guy who had the cloak evaded death.
Uno reverse. So anyway, they one by one start dying. There's one girl that is Halloween. She goes into one of the mazes. She dies of old age, so she sees this really creepy skeletal old woman who's like looks possessed, like crawling around on all the things. Anyway, she ends up getting caught by her death and dies, and ages like an old woman, so no one actually knows who she is. One of the other guys drink drives all the time. He dies in a car accident. This is actually really horrible. It gets him in his bedroom, and his parents, he barricades the door thinking it will stop it getting in. It doesn't. It's waiting for him in the wardrobe. And his parents see what happens, and his like bones are snapping backwards. His brain, like his head gets caved in. He just generally gets crushed.
So gory.
Yeah, it's really gory. But in the end, basically, one of the guys tries to... He captures someone. There's this guy goes to their school, but he sells drugs to kids.
That's a big difference.
Yes. Sells drugs to kids. He's like a pastor in the church.
Yeah.
Really shit person, though. And he kidnaps him and is waiting for his death. He realises he works at a steel factory, and he realises he falls into one of those crushers. So he has him tied up, ready to go. But two of the girls are like, you can't do this. This isn't who you are. And then he dies. So it's like, you can't really say, like, you're fine. He just gets crushed. And turns into just spray, basically. Then the girl that moved to the town, she moved to the town basically because she was a junkie and she OD'd, and her dad went to take her to hospital, and on the hospital trip they got hit by a car and he died. So the next of kin was the cousin, so she started living with the cousin. So she's like really dark, feels responsible for the death of her dad. Anyway, she was like, we do have to die, but we don't have to die from the death that's coming to us. So if we die and get brought back to life, then surely we'll be fine. So the other girl is diabetic, so she gets all her insulin, and they make this ice bath. They've got like revival. There's like a defib that they've got their hands on in this steel works place. And they set it up so that they're trying to kill themselves to bring themselves back. So the one that's diabetic does that to this girl. She does die and sees her death, which is an OD. Yeah. And her deaf person is like pushing her down underwater. And she's trying to be revived, but it's not working. She's not coming
obviously.
Back to life.
That was such a... I knew it wasn't going to work anyway. Other than the supernatural element, it's clearly not going to work.
And as the girl's trying to bring her back, she sees her death, which is some sort of diabetic seizure coming towards her, and is like, no, please don't do this now. Just at least let me bring her back to life. The religious matey ends up getting out of his bindings and is like, right, I'm bringing the gun that someone tried to kill me with, and I'm just gonna find these girls and kill them myself. He's smashing down the doors, like trying to get in, ends up shooting the girl with the the diabetic girl. Anyway, she eventually brings the girl back to life, but she is dying from the seizure. The one that brought her back to life is dying from the seizure. I don't remember anyone's name, so I've made it really hard to follow. Anyway, the guy comes in and is saying this whole speech, like religious speech, like everyone's here for a purpose, God wants me here for blah blah, sees the blood trickling from the girl that was shot, puts his fingers in it, then he's obviously marked himself. So death comes for him instead, and both girls are saved and they live their normal lives. And the whistle ends up in the locker of someone else at the school, and the process
they need to just destroy it.
Well, they did destroy it, but obviously it can't be destroyed for whatever reason, and it just goes to another person.
Death is always around.
That's
what I'm getting. That's really unsettling in itself. What's your verdict?
It was shit. It was a shit film, to be fair. I did not really like it. The concept, like, I came away
like quite good.
Deep in it a bit, and I was like, ooh, would I want to, like, that's a scary concept that your death is searching for you. Yeah. Like, it's fated. That is how you're going to die. You can't change it. Even if you found out you can't change it. Would I want to know? Probably not.
Probably wouldn't want to know.
Probably wouldn't want to know. So I did come away like, but the film itself, not so great.
Poorly executed?
Yeah, I would give it like a 4.
Damn. Okay, I'm not going to watch it. I thought if it's above a 6...
No.
I'll give it a go, but nah.
I kind of, liked the concept, and it was good because it wasn't one of those that you take with you and you're scared of, although you do kind of deep the thought of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought of, like, oh, that's really unsettling. Like, death is always searching for you.
I didn't like that, but I'm not going to think about it in my day-to-day and be like, oh my god.
Death's coming.
So it wasn't that great. But watch it if you want. I mean, there's no point now, I ruined it, but if you want to. But there is a film that I have seen a trailer for, which I can't decide if we should watch or not.
Is it the chimp one?
No, I don't like monkey films.
But it's a monkey horror film. I don't understand it. It's just a chimp that goes berserk.
I've seen it. I don't like it.
I've seen the trailer, and it's a really spooky trailer, and then you're like, oh, it's the chimp.
It's a monkey.
The chimp goes berserk.
And I always root for it, because I'm like, fair play.
Yeah, it's a
Just
monkey.
do it.
I thought you were going to say that one.
No, it's called Good Boy, and it's from the point of view of a dog, but the owner is possessed, and the dog is obviously witnessing all these horrible things happen to its owner. But I don't want the dog to be hurt. This is a thing. Like, I need to know if the dog's okay before I watch it. But it's a really interesting take.
The thing that worries me about that is it could be very... I don't know how to say it, like, it's a thinker.
Yeah.
Like the Daddy Longlegs one.
Longlegs. This is the
not
thing.
Even Daddy Longlegs.
It's the
Longlegs.
Same person.
I'm not watching it. Longlegs was the worst film we ever saw.
The trailer looks good, but then I think that's how they get you, because I watched Longlegs.
Ask me what happened in Longlegs.
It was terrible.
I can't tell you anything that happened in it.
Yeah, we did fall asleep.
Yeah, well, it was... That's in the cinema as well, how embarrassing.
I don't know how you did, because it was... I feel like they used the music as a crutch to make it scary, because it was so loud. And just that general unsettling music, but that's all they had.
It was like a lullaby.
It's soothing.
Oh, that was such a boring film, though.
It was.
And that was...
And then you think, oh my god, I
from
see
that.
where this is going now. This is going to get good. And then you're like, it didn't go there. It never went there. We never got there.
I remember turning to you like, I don't know what's going on, and you were like, you have just been asleep. And I was like, just tell me what's going on with the film.
Sorry, did I ask what I was doing?
Yeah, I'm asking you what's happening.
But
you
maybe
didn't know either.
No, I didn't. I might watch it. I don't know. Maybe if I can't if I can't convince you, I'll wait for it not to be in cinema. But I just thought, what a new take on a horror, potentially. We'll see. It has potential.
It's so funny that you said it's the same person as Longlegs, because I was like, that feels like a thinker like Longlegs. And those films generally don't do well with me. What that says about me, I'll leave it.
I agree, but I don't want to have to think about it. You're telling me the story. Okay, I'm not the writer. I'm not the writer. You write the story, I watch the story. Don't make me fill in the blanks. I need to be spoon-fed.
Literally, I need it to be obvious.
Yeah. And I don't like things unsolved and, you make your own ending. No. I paid my fare for you to tell me the ending.
And all the symbolism that you can only really see once you've watched the whole thing.
Yeah, it's the one where you watch it again. You have to watch it, and everyone's like, if you watch it again, it's so much easier.
I'm not watching it a second time.
It was worse. It was bad enough time one.
It got me to watch it the first time, and I had a terrible time. Why would I go back and rewatch it just so the first time makes sense?
Watch it twice, fall on me.
Maybe they should just make the first run through make sense.
If they wrote it all in the story properly, I wouldn't have to watch it a second time.
But then again, that means more people are consuming it because they've got to go back a second time. I'm not going to. I wouldn't, but some people do.
But anyway.
Let's do Twisted Tongues.
Longlegs has been polarising, hasn't it? It's one of those films that people are like, so good, and I'm like, did we watch the same film?
It's like Adolescence, though.
I haven't watched that on the same principle.
And I was like, no.
It's not.
It's a thinker.
Okay. Twisted Tongues. This is going to be a hard one. I say this every time.
The niche ones.
This is niche. 5 were lost where the old towns died, on trails and roads where others passed by. No tracks, no clues, though searches were wide. What place keeps secrets the forests won't hide?
Tune in next time, guys, and don't forget, if you like the video, please like, and do remember to hit the subscribe button, because it does make our day.
Much obliged.
And we shall hopefully see you next time.
Yeah.
See you
next
later.
time. Bye.
three and one